Hello, I am Dick Rice, the Director of Spiritual Development at the Retreat in Wayzata, Minnesota, a 12-step recovery center, and I'm also your brother in recovery, a fellow 12-stepper. I'd like to speak with you today about the sixth of the 12 steps. You'll notice I always reintroduce that word. I never leave it implicit. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. I agree with the anonymous clergyman that Bill W. quotes in the first commentary on our big book, in 12 and 12, when he quotes this beloved friend of his, really his spiritual director, who says, "This sixth step is the step that separates the adults from the children." Yes, I think he's exactly right when he says that. So many of us climb the steps as though it's a 5-step program. We exert ourselves, we really do a good 5th step, and then we disappear and don't realize that, wait a minute, there's a whole new level of recovery waiting for us with the 6th step and beyond. Or we come out of the fifth step and think, well, now I've got so much to do. I've got to work on so many things, these resentments. I've got to work on my depression. I've got to work on my lack of promptness, whatever it might be. No, no, no. There's nothing to work on. In another context, Shakespeare would have been a 12-stepper when he said, the readiness is all. It's all about readiness, just being ready and just being available to our higher power and being available to grace. All we have to do is be available. I like to call this the thought out step. It's the step where I come out of the deep freeze, where I have frozen my emotions, where I have frozen so much of my life, and now I'm allowing it to be thawed out. If I can just stay out in the open and let God thaw me out, remarkable things can happen. Whereas I'm very liable to muck the whole thing up if I start to take it under my own control and think that I know now what God wants to be about with me. A number of commentators call this step and its companion, the 7th step, the forgotten steps. Well, you and I are here today to remember them. I'm one who would say that most of my growth in the community, most of my growth in the program has come from the fidelity that I've had to steps 6 and 7. That'll become more clear when I talk about the 7th step. I'm audacious enough to say that. The 6th step really only gets one paragraph in the big book, but again, it's so juicy and so good that let's read it together. If we can answer to our satisfaction, the paragraph starts, answer to the fact that we've really done a good 5th step, we can then look at step 6. We have emphasized willingness as being indispensable. Are we now ready to let God remove from us all the things which we have admitted are objectionable? Can God now take them all, every one? Oh, all of those beloved defects of character. Well, you'll say, I didn't love so much my selfishness, my dishonesty, my depression, whatever it might have been, my abuse, but they were familiar to us. And it is so hard to let go of the familiar when we don't know yet what God has in mind for us to be. So we cling to the very things that we know we're crazy and holding on to. But now at least we're willing to let go of them. If we still cling to something we won't let go of, all right. But we ask God to help us be willing. There it is again, that word willing and will. Remember how back in the 3rd step we turned our will and our lives over to the care of God. Not just our lives, because we know that the battle goes on primarily in our wills. In Bill's whole rational psychology, Bill's way of thinking of the human mind and intellect, the will is that human power that has desire and then the capacity to realize the desire. What Bill is asking of us, what this 6th step is asking of us, is that we turn from willfulness to willingness. And that's a gigantic transformation. Only by the grace of our higher power will we be able to do it. We who have been so willful, who have known what we wanted, when we wanted it, as we wanted it, especially around our addiction of choice, now are asked to loosen our grip, to thaw out from that frozen hand of ours, and to be willing for God to remove our defects of character. If we can stay out in the open, thaw out, and be willing, God can now work great things with us. We've only just begun. Let's see what God has in mind with the 7th step. Thank you.